Okay. This is my testimony of how I met Archangel Michael. My name's Chris Riley. I'm from Brisbane, Australia. 3 years ago, just after my 25th birthday, I was in a really bad way. I was a really lost individual. I used to use a lot of ice, or meth as they call it in America. I was just a very lost individual. I had no faith. I didn't think there was any purpose to the world. I was very angry, vengeful, just very, very lost. I really didn't enjoy my birthdays because they were just a reminder of how it was just another year of the same old thing. But not long after my 25th birthday, I had a scary incident one night while I was high. I'd probably been high for like 2 or 3 days at that time, smoking ice through a pipe. I had a scary experience that I don't want to go into too much detail about, but it scared me enough to convince me, I thought I was going to die. Some people call it an NDE, a near-death experience. Nothing that bad physically happened, but in my mind, I was convinced I was going to die, and I had a mental breakdown because of that. Luckily, I had very loving family and supportive people around me that helped me through. And when I had that mental breakdown and that scary incident, that was all in one night. And on that particular night, my brother's girlfriend prayed a prayer to Archangel Michael for me. I didn't know about this, as I was trying to get to sleep that night, but I was in such a state. Falling asleep was really difficult. Somehow I managed to fall asleep, and I woke up the next day, and all I really remember is sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the wall, fully conscious. I was wide awake, in a completely lost state. I couldn't even attach to the person I was before, but I'd felt like I'd just completely lost everything, and I was just nothing, and I didn't have a personality, and I couldn't really think, and it was just really, traumatic. And I was in this lost state, just sitting there staring at the wall in my bedroom, completely by myself. And as I sat there staring at the wall, I felt a hand touch my shoulder. The first feeling I had was immediate fear, because I knew there was nobody in my bedroom, and a definite hand had just touched my left shoulder. So I went into an instant state of panic and shock. I then heard a voice say, "Lay, child, everything's okay. You've got nothing to worry about. I'm here to help you." The first thing I thought then was, well, you're hearing voices. You're definitely going to the mental institution now. And then again, I heard the voice, "Lay, child, everything's okay. You've got nothing to worry about. I'm here to help you." As I heard that voice again, it laid me and helped me lay on my side. And as I laid on my side, I heard the voice again say, "I'm going to make you feel better." As he said that, I felt a rush of the most euphoric, blissful, heavenly love I could possibly describe to anybody. It was like a mother that just gave birth to a newborn child. The way she would look at her times 10 million. It was your birthday, it was Christmas, it was New Year, it was seeing your best friend after 10 years of them being away. It was just every good, joyous, blissful, happy, ecstatic feeling I could possibly describe, all balled into one. When he touched me, and this feeling just went through my whole being, and I was vibrating at just the highest level of love I could possibly imagine. And I felt like I was home. and I'd felt like that's where I came from, and that I'd forgotten about it. I'd forgotten what it felt like, and oh my God, it felt amazing. I've done drugs before in the past, and nothing compares. I understand now why they call it the most high. It was amazing. As that happened, and that feeling rushed through my whole body, my eyesight went from my eyes looking at the wall, laying on my side, to then being in the top right-hand corner of my bedroom, looking down at myself on the bed. And I was on my side, looking at the wall, and behind me, there was an angel. He was about 10 feet tall, whose wings stretched across my bedroom. He had a Roman-style golden chest plate on. He had long, short, long, blondish hair. He had a Nordic-looking face. Norwegian. I make a joke that he kind of looked like Chris Hemsworth a little bit. He had the Roman centurion-style skirt on with the slits in it, the really old school sandals with the rope that went right up the feet. I could see him clear as day. He shined a blue and white light. He was very beautiful, and the feeling I got from him was that he was my best friend, and I'd kind of forgotten about him. I felt bad about that, but it felt so good at the same time to see him again. I was just like, oh, you again. And yeah, I could see him there clear as day, and then he went on to tell me and show me a few things. He told me that I was very lost, that I had nothing to worry about, and that everything was okay, and that he was always watching me from the day I was born to the day I'll die. He will always be watching me, that I have nothing to worry about. He showed me segments of my life where things went wrong. He took me back to when I was in primary school as a young kid. He showed me certain little events, not even that bad things really, but like just small events that changed my perception of myself. And there was one specific one where he took me back and he's like, do you remember how you felt before that happened? I was like, yep, I felt like me. I felt like how I was supposed to feel, a child of God. And he's like, do you remember when that happened? I was like, I do remember when that happened. He's like, do you remember what it felt like? And I was like, oh, I could feel it. And I was like, yeah, I didn't like that. But do you remember how you felt afterward? And I specifically just remember thinking, ashamed to be myself. That's how I felt, ashamed to be myself. And he kind of showed me how that shaped me. That event really shaped who I was. I was then, from that point onward, I was ashamed to be myself. When I went into situations, I was ashamed, because I was scared that people wouldn't like me for who I was. And I could see how that one small event molded a whole bunch of events later in my life, where I just wanted to be accepted by people. And I did stupid things because of it, and it put me down a really, really dark path. Yeah. So yeah, he showed me segments of my life where I went wrong, or I made certain choices. Showed me from when I was a child up to about high school, into high school, out of high school, up to making certain decisions with drugs and stuff. But then he said, can you see how all that happened so you could be here with me now? I was like, yep. In that state of love, I could just understand how everything worked. I was like, yep, I can understand that. He's like, yeah, so everything happens for a reason. And he went on to repeat that a few times. Everything happens for a reason. There's a purpose to everything. I was like, okay. And then he went on to show me what I kind of take now as the battle versus good versus evil. It went to a vision of a field, a huge field, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of hectares wide and long. And on our side, it was completely blue. And it was just this blue misty fog that went on for a really, really long time. And as it went on and on and on and on, it reached a wall and it started climbing up the wall, and it was all blue on our side, and as it got to the very, very top of the wall and like started to peek over, it changed colour to red, and it dropped red down the wall on the other side, and then it just went red for eternity that way. And I could clearly see it, and I was like, okay, what's this? And he goes like, this is the battle of good versus evil. You'd forgotten what side you were on, and now you've been reminded, you know what side you're on. You're on my side, and you just forgot who you were just a bit lost. And I had this overwhelming feeling of, let me up, I just want to fight, I want to get back in the battle. He said, no, you got to stay down, you got to recover, you got to rest. I was like, okay, cool. And yeah, he then went on to tell me, he mentioned that I was Saint Christopher at one point. He goes, you are Saint Christopher. I don't know if I'm supposed to take that as I'm the reincarnation of Saint Christopher, or just because my name is Christopher Raleigh, that I'm a saint, maybe saved by grace or something along those lines. But yeah, so toward the end of it, he just said, you've got nothing to worry about, everything's okay, I'll always be watching you, I'll always be watching you, everything's fine, have faith. And yeah, as he said that, he just kind of slowly faded out, and I was left sitting there on the end of my bed, staring at the wall, in the state of what just happened. At no point during it did he mention his name, at no point did I ask him his name. It was so overwhelming and new to anything I'd experienced in my whole entire life. I really didn't know how to take it for a little bit. I didn't tell anybody for about a week or two because I was afraid they were going to say I'd lost my mind and send me to a hospital or something like that. So the first person I told was my older brother, and I went up and I was like, I got something to tell you, had this experience. I told him everything, and he just kind of looked at me and he's like, wow. He's like, have you ever heard of Archangel Michael? I was like, nope, don't remember that name, I don't recall that anywhere. He's like, you sure? I was like, not that I can remember. And then he's like, go to Google and type in Archangel Michael. And I went to Google and I typed it in, and I just started crying my eyes out. There's, the description of how he looked, the description of him saving people and whatnot, and yeah, I just cried my eyes out in like joy and happiness, I guess. And that was my experience. And ever since then, I've kind of turned my life around for the better. I was completely healed of any desire for drugs after that point. A lot of things changed in my life, a lot of things. I've helped a lot of friends come to the faith, or come to a faith. Yeah, so that's my experience. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.